Hey, howdy, folks. Thought I'd give a quick bus update. Been a while since we posted a video. We had done the last trip to Gore, Oklahoma. Of course, we posted a video on that. Had a blast. That was back end of June, and then we knew when we got it back, we needed to take it down to service and get the generator look well resolved. We knew at that point we basically had an injector pump on the generator that was leaking oil into the crankcase. So I don't know if anybody's ever experienced that, but what the symptoms were for a while, it had been going on for a while. We just didn't understand what it was. But it turned out it was, like every time we checked the oil on it, it was always like max. It was always very clean. It never got dark. Probably the biggest symptom was, it was spitting oil out the breather tube. And it was always collecting on the tray, under the generator, and then it would just, drip out everywhere. So if you look at a lot of our videos and even saw me complaining about, leakage, and there was like always spots, oil spots up at the front of the bus. Well, anyway, that's what it's been. So we believe now that that was the root issue. They basically took the injector pump off, sent it to the pump shop. But luckily we had one kind of nearby in Fort Smith. And they had it, and overhauled it with all the parts they could get a hold of. And they put it back on, ran it a good part of a day while they were doing a few other things. And so far, so good. So, it's kind of one of those time will tell deals to see and make sure that, we're good to go. But at this point, we think we are. So that's good. Then we had a couple of air leaks that they found and buttoned up again. It seems like every time we turn around, we got some little air leaks on these fittings. That one was down under the step, the entry step. Okay, and then the other thing was I wanted to have them check the air dryer. And, I wanted them to replace the cartridge because, I've had it for 3 years and it never had been done. And I don't know the history on it before that. Well, anyway, they get in there and they couldn't get the cartridges. They said they were discontinued, and this was the old Bendix AD4, assembly under there. So they basically got the new one, the 89, and just reworked that into the system and got it all installed, and everything's good. So lastly, as I'm coming home after picking it up, I'm noticing that my air gauge it's behaving different, right? It's not like it used to be. So I only know what I know. This is the only motorhome I've had with an air system. And so what I had always experienced was that the air pressure would, the governor, after we got the new governor last year, was set at 130. And so before that it was 120. But it was always pegged out. Whether it was the 120 version before or the 130 most recently, it was always pegged out while I was driving once I got air built. And I would really rarely see it while I'm driving down the highway. I'd rarely see the air pressure gauge actually go down. I mean, if I was braking and, coming to a stop off an exit and different things, I would see it come down a little bit then, with some good braking. But normally it was just always pegged out, right? And then, of course, we did notice it exhausted. It would do its spit pretty frequently. I don't know what interval, but it just seemed like it was pretty frequent. And my service center took note of all this, too. So when I called them and I said, hey, this thing, it's coming down while I'm driving down the road. It wasn't actually going all the way to 130 like it used to. It was only going like just over 120. But what it would do is, right, it would get to that, and then it would come down to like 110, sit for just a little bit, then it would slowly come back up, then it would go down. And I, of course, never seen that, so I thought maybe something wasn't right. But as it turns out, I'm going off what I've been told, and it makes sense now, that's normal, that the air dryer wasn't working right before, probably because it was so old, and who knows, it was probably choked up with a lot of stuff, because the filter hadn't been changed in so long, probably. And it just wasn't apparently behaving right, and I just didn't know any better. So this makes sense, because if you think about a normal air compressor, any air compressor you work with tools or whatever, right, it fills up, you use it, and then, the compressor turns off, and then you use it, and it comes down, and then it'll kick on at the set point and come back up, and then turn off. And apparently that's what I'm witnessing now. It's working properly. The compressor actually turns off, and then lets it come down to 110, apparently. And then it'll kick back on and build air and turn off, and it just will continue to cycle. So again, I didn't realize this is the way it was supposed to work. And again, this is what my service center is telling me now. And so apparently I'm good to go, and everything's working as expected now. So so that's good news. And so that was my update. Hopefully it's all accurate, and that as we get to driving it again on our next trips, all's good. And so enjoy.